Greetings, fellow gumshoes. Tiki here.
And Blue Dragon 5.
And Jacob Wile, too.
Ladies and gentlemen, as we find ourselves in the midst of Disney's big venture into the world of streaming, having started a war in the process, we thought it'd be nice to stay up to date on the ever-growing catalog and rule on what's a must or a bust on Disney Plus. And tonight, folks, it's not a reboot, it's a comeback. We're talking Chip 'n Dale Rescue Rangers. That's right. All right, I'm going to save my thoughts for last. Dragon, I'm going to throw it to you first. What do you think of this?
Well, I'll tell you. Regards to Chip 'n Dale Rescue Rangers, the movie, I was, ever since the trailer, I thought it was a very interesting take on how you would do, Rescue Rangers movie than I think any of us were anticipating. Because I don't know about you guys, I was never really a Chip 'n Dale's Rescue Rangers fan. I mean, it's not nothing against them. I just
I certainly watched Rescue Rangers when I was a kid, but I wouldn't really call myself a fan either. Like I was definitely a DuckTales fan. Rescue Rangers was kind of like a second tier Disney afternoon thing for me personally.
I mean, the only thing I had is I like the vehicles and the gadgets from like the very little I did see, and that's it's like, oh man, look at them flying around that little thing.
And of course, for the Disneyland locals, we have Gadget's Go Coaster.
Sure. So the point being, I was never really a true blue diehard, a Rescue Rangers fan. So I don't know how intimately I can judge how this thing succeeded. But here's what I come away with this movie with is that I think they posed themselves the smart question of. I mean, honestly I have no idea what the diehard reaction is going to be, but I realized that they did. I think they realized they didn't want to make a cash in plot. They made the smart play, which I think ultimately was, what more is there to really say about Chip 'n Dale Rescue Rangers at the end of the day? If we just did a Chip 'n Dale movie, it would be just another adventure for that bunch, most likely. And and it's been we've seen it done before and be done primarily for cash-in purposes, which ultimately this made fun of that.
It could be like a Yogi Bear, Woody Woodpecker kind of movie where it's how original.
Let's do it in the real world, or let's do it in kind of a quasi CG live action sort of thing. So ultimately, it was. I think what they did was rather smart in that. Okay, let's do a tribute to Chip 'n Dale Rescue Rangers because we can't really reinvent the wheel on this, and basically we'll use them as a bridge to make fun of kind of the very nostalgia cash-in culture. People would be that ordinarily would have been done for hey, let's cash in the nostalgia of the Disney afternoon. I think they did something much more kind of smarter and full of substance than I think would have been just hey, it's Chip 'n Dale Rescue Rangers, and we maybe we changed up the animation style, maybe we didn't, and anyway, slice it would have been just another it's just basically maybe a low rent version of the DuckTales movie. Ultimately, it probably would have been that, for being frank. Possibly, I don't know. Regardless, with the movie that we did get, via the. Again, it's very much like a modern day, Roger Rabbit approach. Instead of old Hollywood, it's more, kind of corporate thinking and the animation business today. And I love how we covered the animation business with so many really great deep cut and kind of awesome references to it. So ultimately, this thing, it's unconventional, but it's bold and an impressive choice that I think ultimately paid off. And Tiki, I don't know if you realize this. Essentially, this movie is kind of what you and I dreamed of in our speculation pitch for the Nicktoons movie. Do you realize that?
A little bit, yeah, totally.
So I really did enjoy that.
They wanted to make me triangles.
Essentially, this is it.
I hate triangles. They're so pointy.
So essentially, they turned that into the CG surgery, so we kind of got our wish.
Oh God, Dragon, that was honestly one of the this guy's all right. This guy's a keeper moments with you when we did that triangles thing. Oh man. Okay, so Dragon, I'm sorry. Just overall, how do you feel about it though?
No, I really liked it, yeah.
Nice. Okay, so I'm gonna shout out Pink Pearl in the comments, aka Afui to you. Let's see. She says she's Ugly Sonic, and I haven't even seen the movie yet. my new job has me working long hours. Big Pearl, I just want to acknowledge I'm really happy to see you so busy and so active because I know you've been through a lot. So I'm just happy, with the long hours and everything. Just happy to see you around. Happy to see you. I don't know if thriving is the right word because I don't know your personal situation, but I'm just stoked to see you out and about and doing stuff that you're passionate about, like being the extra in the Haunted Mansion remake. I don't know. I just generally like to see people, be active, and it's just nice. It's just nice to see you on the upswing. So just wanted to shout you out there. The Haunted Mansion movie that she acted in releases on March 10th, 2023. Indeed. So I'll be looking forward to that. And we also have Theme Park Priest. He says, "Hey, everybody, I only heard about this movie like yesterday. I'm a pretty big Rescue Rangers fan." All right, so Jacob, how do you feel about this one? Of course, Jacob Wile is probably out of the three of us. He's probably like the most diehard fan of all this stuff.
I mean, of Rescue Rangers or just in general?
Just in general, just the whole animation. Like, I know you're a big cartoon guy.
Well, yeah, I would probably go along with that. I mean, and even I'm kind of along with you guys. I mean, I do remember watching Rescue Rangers when I was younger, but it wasn't really. I mean, it's like, of course, a lot of people remember that when I was younger, when they were younger. But again, I wouldn't like you guys. I wouldn't have called myself like a diehard. Of course, I remember the theme song because everybody remembers the theme song. But like I said, and I remembered the characters, but other than that, nothing really stood out. Or and then I rewatched them, like, oh hey, those are when I saw Chip and Dale many years later. It's like, oh hey, those are the guys that did the Rescue Rangers. Because I wasn't aware of the classics yet.
Yeah.
But so yeah, I wouldn't exactly call myself a hardcore fan either. And like even when I first heard about this new reboot or comeback, I guess I should technically call it. Because it's not a reboot, it's a comeback. Even though, like, I did have my skepticism about it. I was like, okay, this could go either very well or very bad.
That's kind of what I thought, too, based on the trailers.
Yeah, especially the first trailer, it's like, okay, I mean, like, this does show promise. I noticed a lot of other people's comments, too. It's like, okay, like, this isn't giving me much hope. But then, like, once the second trailer rolled around, it's like, okay, I see where they're people like, okay, I see where they're starting to go with this. And like everybody else, now that the movie's out, I'm actually surprised at how well put together it was. It's technically it is kind of a cash-in, you could probably call it one, but it's like you can tell like they have like deep respect and care for like all the source materials and everything, and they're like creating like something new and original out of it as well. And of course, it's actually a lot of it actually is kind of surprising, like what they were able to pull in this too.
Oh yeah, for sure.
That's like we'll obviously probably get into that in the actual discussion, but like yeah, I mean if one word I can use to describe this movie, it's surprising.
So yeah, I freaking love this movie, and I wasn't expecting to. I was expecting, if anything, for it to be like a fun little Member Berries movie where it's like, kind of just like a base level dopamine hit of like, I clapped because I know what that is. I mean, that's honestly what I was expecting.
Basically, I understood that reference.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah. And there is a lot of that. But what I found so great about this movie is that I feel like almost all of the references and Easter eggs and member berries, they all serve a purpose. They all serve a role. They all kind of like add to the world building and the overall flavor of any given scene. There's very few cameos that felt actively forced. And I was really impressed by that. And honestly, a lot of the cameos, like Ugly Sonic being a great example of like that could have been a really easy, cheap joke. But spoiler alert, guys, I know Priest and Afui here have not seen it, so just giving you a warning. Ugly Sonic, he has an arc. like he isn't just a one-off joke, So it's like they
Ugly Sonic
cameos that you would not expect.
Ugly Sonic, uglier crimes.
I think it's fair to say that Ugly Sonic has just stolen the movie.
I mean, that's like the one thing a lot of people are talking about this when they refer to this movie.
But I tell you guys, the one thing that I don't think enough people are talking about with this movie that I really dug, honestly, I really dug the main core relationship between the two of them. And we'll get into it when we get into the plot, but there's a kind of a twist to what we saw in the first flashback that comes at the third act. I think you guys are probably know what I'm talking about, hopefully. And that really got to me emotionally and really kind of recontextualized their whole friendship in a very kind of powerful way for me. I thought it was a very subtle little twist in the story that I don't know, it like I genuinely this kind of dynamic, you know, the whole one person who's a bit more serious with life and, you know, kind of wants to move forward, one person who's kind of stuck in the glory days and wants to relive them. Someone in their 30s, like that is very much a dynamic at play with most of my social relationships nowadays, especially the ones that I've had for a long time. So with that in mind, I mean, I just think the actual like emotional element of this movie, I think, is being very underlooked. I certainly think this movie is a spiritual successor to Roger Rabbit. Obviously, it's not a masterpiece in the same way that Roger Rabbit is. I wasn't expecting it to be. I think it's totally unfair if you're going to compare it like one for one about the, you know, just how good it is. But I feel like tonally it is very similar. And honestly, if you would have told me that this was literally the same universe as Roger Rabbit, only, you know, in the 90s or whatever, or in modern day, I would buy it because I think a lot of it checks out. And I also love that there's a lot of similarities with Roger Rabbit as far as like, you know, the main villain plot is kind of like an allegory for something that's super controversial. In the first movie, it was racism, and this, it's human fucking trafficking of all things.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah.
and I feel like the reveal with, I feel like the villain dynamics are pretty similar, where you have like, you know, the one villain who's very straightforward and outwardly the villain, and then you also have, you know, you have. I feel like J.K. Simmons, Lieutenant. I'm sorry, I'm blanking on his name right now.
It's just Lieutenant Putty.
No,
that's what I thought. I just want to make sure.
Captain Putty. Yeah.
Captain Putty. Honestly, I don't think enough people are talking about him. He is a fantastic, freaking spoiler alert villain. And honestly, I think what this movie really achieves is that, like, even the human characters are interesting. Fat Peter Pan. Yeah, we'll get to Fat Peter Pan. I mean, they went there with the Bobby Driscoll stuff, man. I can see why people are offended by it, but at the same time, I respect them for going there. Monkey, I am assuming that Putty was CG, but they genuinely definitely animated him to look claymation. So
yeah, I think it was CG. I think a lot of the stuff they pulled off with him would not have done.
I honestly think most of the effects in this movie are CG. Like, I think all the stuff that's 2D is pretty much just cell shaded.
Yeah, but I mean, it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
And like I said, they probably did some simulations with clay to, like, you know, get the animation right.
Oh, Wafui, there is definitely some memorable claymation fight scenes in this movie. I think you'll be satisfied with it.
Let's just say they make good use of the fact that he's supposedly made of clay.
Yes. Okay, so I think, guys, fair to say we all really like this one. Let's just jump right into it. Can I start right away? I don't want to bury the lead on it, and I don't really know where else to put it. I want to just shout out my favorite joke in the movie, all right? And it comes towards the end. And I feel like it kind of like, it emphasizes everything I love about this movie's sense of humor. It's where, at the very, you know, like towards the third act, where Dale is... Or I think is it? God, I get the names mixed up. Who's the one in the Hawaiian shirt?
Sandberg's Dale.
Dale. Okay, I was right the first time. Good. So I love to see, you know, with Dale. Dale goes to Gadget and Zipper, and I'm not. We'll talk about the Gadget and Zipper thing. But there's that line where they're flying the original flying contraption from the show. And Dale's like, wow, I can't believe you got this to work so easily. And then Gadget just says, yeah, I know. It's almost like my character in the show and my character in real life are the exact same person. I cracked up so hard at that line. I don't know what that line just to me just encapsulates the whole movie for me. I love that line. I don't know. It's so fucking funny to me. It was so meta. Like, yeah, they know what they're doing. They know this doesn't really make sense. All right. So guys, where do you want to start from there? Oh, also, I'm sorry. One more thing that I need to point out. I need to give big props to Akiva Schaffer because he also directed one of my favorite comedies straight up of the 2010s, Pop Star Never Stop, Never Stopping.
Well, that explains the ending joke.
Severely underrated comedy. Go see it, folks. It is hilarious. But with that in mind, it's like I'm honestly surprised that it kind of slipped my radar that he was directing this. And yeah, I'm not surprised that I ended up loving it. And this dude is very much a director that I'm going to be kind of following going forward because I think low key he has a very, very unique comedic style to him. All right, so let's jump into it, guys. Where do we want to start?
Well, I think we should start just kind of overall here, talking about the the design to the world. So it's a little bit of a gumball to it. Would you agree?
I could see gumball. Yeah,
that was actually one of my first thoughts to all this.
Yeah, so it's. I just love how we have kind of like this
And in all honesty, I wouldn't be surprised if they snuck in some gumball characters in the backgrounds here and there.
Entirely possible. So I love that we took kind of like we have like this animation being integrated like approach here with all sorts of different animation styles. Kind of like just kind of co-mingling, and it's kind of factored into the world building, which I think takes it a little next level than what we have in something like Gumball, where it's sort of like you have like tiny tables and tiny houses that are really well designed. Like when the dog's going around in the house, it takes up the whole house, and the fact that no one questions this world, which is brilliant.
It's like humans and toons going to school together.
Yeah. So I love. So again, it's kind of like
put your pants on. You're not Donald Duck.
Yep. Yeah. That's the thing. So overall, it's sort of like, again, it's kind of like the modern update of what we had in Roger Rabbit, where again they have like kind of like a segregation sort of thing going on. Here it's very much like the integration. It's,
totally.
I
just feel like everything about the world building feels like it could happen in the Roger Rabbit universe. Like I feel like the CGI surgery is a perfect example of that.
Yeah, of course.
What also Dick literally exists in this universe, so.
Of course, what also helps the fact that Roger Rabbit is in the movie as well. So we should take a moment to acknowledge it's insane what Disney's legal department was able to pull off on this.
Here's a hot take. I'm sorry, Jacob. Here's a hot take. I genuinely think that the legal department stuff in this movie is even more impressive than what the legal department in Roger Rabbit was able to pull off.
Well, I mean, I don't know about. Let me put it this way. Yes and no. Yes, in that it's impressive, but by the same token, though, they have the ultimate kind of like, for the most part, they have the ultimate get out of jail free card with the whole like kind of sweeted version of the characters. The whole bootleggy version of the characters thing. It kind of allows them to get.
I mean, yeah, but I mean, like stuff like Randy Marsh just popping up. Like
that's true. Yeah,
that was surreal, man. Yeah. And honestly, I feel like back in the 80s, yeah, it was a complicated thing to get these characters together, but I don't think companies were as competitive as they are now. And right now, the company, it's like there's a literal streaming war going on, hence the title of this show. It's like I think in that regard, I think the amount of characters they were able to get, plus the amount of straight up adult animation characters. I just think it's kind of mind-blowing how they were able to pull it off, honestly.
I mean, it's surprising that Disney even allowed some of those in the first place.
Yeah, totally. This absolutely feels like the least sanitized thing that Disney has put out in a long time, honestly.
I mean, also the fact that they're taking pot shots at themselves, which I really respect, by the way, with the whole, again, kind of like highlighting the ridiculous, rebooting nature of things. I mean,
it's definitely like Ralph Breaks the Internet without the kids' gloves on,
Yeah, I mean, they didn't take the ultimate pot shot of something like Lion King, but we did have Baloo there, just, like in the scene.
Baloo was wonderful anyways.
I mean, technically, they kind of did take a pot out of the whole whole dead eyes thing.
Well, they did, yeah.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. So that's as close as they got to it, but it works.
And that was also a show like how Seth Rogen voices so many characters in these things,
which was great. So let's refocus.
Which is also surprising that they got DreamWorks characters in this movie too.
I was really shocked that they mentioned Shrek, and we saw like the picture in the bottle being melted down.
Shrek is practically a plot device.
I mean, technically.
Oh God, we have ugly John Kelling. Tigra from the mediocre Avengers cartoon shocked me to know it.
Well, to be fair, it's not.
Say about that?
Well, to be fair, they have the they have the rights to that character. So let me say, it's not mind bending, but it is like really cool. Like, oh man, look, they went for the. So let me tell you one of my favorite things in this movie. Having being a guy who goes to a lot of Comic Cons, well, mainly the same Comic Con pretty much annually. But again, that branched out to at least 2 cons a year, so I'm
sure.
Point being a guy who's going to conventions, this was an amazing idea. So after we have the very genuine kind of heartfelt breakup between Chip and Dale, which again was kind of the whole typecasting thing actors fall into the trap of, Dale feeling like he's being stereotyped as the guy who gets bonked on the head so the little birdies.
Another thing I noticed, it's a lot more subtle in this movie, but another kind of Roger Rabbit parallel is the transition from the cartoon to the live action like filming is basically a gag with the cartoon birds.
Yeah, which is great.
It's like, not now, Elaine. Don't ruffle my feathers over this. It's our job.
Right, so we have like a really. I think what we really got out of these actors was with Sandberg and with Mulaney is we have like there's like I think there was an honesty in there for Sandberg and that he does often maybe seen as like the guy who's like always like like the loud basically he's a shtick. He's ordinarily a shtick.
Totally. And I feel like Mulaney is kind of the same way, where he's sort of known as like all his characters kind of have like a little bit of a stick in the mud quality to them.
Except Spider-Ham, funnily enough.
Yeah, that's the thing. So I think Mulaney is kind of getting some. Again, they're both playing
his
a little
big
bit of
mouth character is insufferable.
Yeah. So I think Mulaney's getting some drama in there, which I really
Yeah,
like as well. The point being, with the place where we leave him off, and we have kind of like Mulaney in almost like the Bob Parr situation where he's an insurance salesman, but he's a really good insurance agent. Salesman.
From the looks of things, he's been employed the month like almost several years in a row.
Yes. Now
I really wanted a little bit more of the kind of like atmospheric stuff. But I will say that the one scene that kind of call to mind that famous shot from Roger Rabbit where it's panning around and giving us a bunch of visual exposition was the shot with Dale coming back to the house, or I'm sorry, Chip coming back to the house. And, we see the shot of like all the employee of the month pictures in that drawer. Like that to me gave me vibes of like, the pan of the photos of Eddie's brother. Like obviously not as emotionally impactful, but still it's like, nice visual storytelling. It
communicates a lot, but he doesn't hang him. He just kind of...
Right.
Funnily enough, this movie also elicits emotional reaction from Pogs.
Oh my God, the Pogs are great. Yeah.
Now, what I was getting at though, the convention stuff. So I love that we have Dale as the has-been actor at a convention. It's like, you've seen these alleyways. I'm basically like again, not just the Comic Con. Because Comic Cons, you have like Artist Alley where the guys are trying to sell their work. But I mean, let's just say in any fandom convention, you have like the celebrities who are the big tickets, and then you have just kind of the the guys clinging to the past in a way, and they're not always visited that often. That you got to remember. Any celebrity at a convention, the reason they charge the exorbitant amounts is like that's their payment for the gig. Like they're flown down there most likely, and then or basically something is comped, maybe a hotel room or something. That's it. Their payment is what they clear at those things. So the point being, it's just a genius idea, like to go these essentially kind of a Comic Con or a pop culture convention and just being able to commingle with other same tier, like, kind of low rent, celebrities who are falling on hard times. Who used to be really big and are part of something really big, or have their moment in the sun. And they're now just kind of like lusting after a Hall H essentially at San Diego.
Wasn't Alan Tudyk in a show like that called Con Man or something?
Yeah, that essentially, yeah. So Alan Tudyk and Nathan Fillion had a show that was something similar to that premise. Yeah.
How have I not heard of that show? That sounds like an amazing premise and an amazing cast.
It is. It just got buried in a lot of things. It was like a thing where it came out. It was like on one of those. It was like an internet streaming service of some kind. I don't think you had to pay for it. It was like just finding it was just a pain in the butt.
It's called. I never actually watched it myself, but it's called Con Man.
Yeah. Plus there was like another show called The Con Men, so it was really hard to find because of that, because they had like 2 con men shows.
Oh God, yeah.
But yes, I mean, it was always a really interesting person. So regardless of the fact that you have like Tiger from the event, the Avengers United They Stand, I think is what it was called. It was never a great one.
And I know this is later in the movie.
Jacob, I think you muted yourself.
Yeah, you muted yourself, bro.
Oh, sorry about that. My mic's been being all wobbly lately.
No, you're good. You're good.
But I know it's later in the movie, but like regarding the con thing, I think one of my favorite jokes was Paul Rudd and Ant-Man.
Yes,
Oh my God! Oh my God!
I gotta be honest. Ant-Man is probably my favorite joke in the movie.
I absolutely thought of you, Dragon, when that popped up. I was like, that joke is like specifically made for Dragon.
Because already I love.
Well, it turned out with the studio first one be to just be a guy who was really nice to aunts.
I know. I love that joke so much, and the fact that we got Paul Rudd. What makes it even better is that during the credits we see the poster for Ant-Man.
And he's surrounded by aunts.
We're just having the pants charmed off of him by Paul Rudd and the Ant-Man.
Oh my God! I just genuinely want that to be an SNL sketch or something. They need to like expand that idea.
I full-heartedly agree. When Ant-Man 3 is coming out and they have like the obligatory SNL, we've got to do that gag. Anyway, yeah, so that's just great. Of course, I love Lumiere, by the way, who gets to set some bad guys on fire, which is
really John Kelling. I did like the classic He-Man and Skeletor, especially because they were so in character.
And Skeletor voiced by Alan Oppenheimer.
Of course.
Technically, he also did He-Man in this movie too.
Was it in the same scene though? Was it?
Yeah, they're both in the same scene. Like they're basically talking to himself. I don't think he voiced He-Man in the original show, but he voiced him here, I believe.
Okay.
And he definitely played Skeletor.
Okay.
Which is another surprising cameo, actually.
Yes. Regardless, so again, like I love like just the kind of the grab bag of all these characters. Like again, Lumiere.
All of them serve a purpose, and that purpose is that all of these memorable side characters that we love are kind of down on their luck, and that's what I'm talking about. Where it's like there is a lot of member berries, but the member berries make sense. You know what I mean? It's not just fan service for the sake of fan service.
There's a line that's really funny to me, but it's also kind of sad with Lumiere, where he's being.
I really needed that cash. That to me was honestly kind of heartbreaking. It's like, oh my God, Lumiere is so hung up that he can't even spare $5. Jesus,
yeah, that's the thing. Let alone hold $5.
And Lumiere is like one of the big fan favorite characters from Beauty and the Beast.
But everyone goes to Cogsworth.
But Lumiere is 10 times better than Cogsworth, in my opinion.
At least I agree. Well, from the looks of things, at least he avoided being bootlegged.
He did.
Right, we have movie Shadow the Hedgehog here, who may or may not be John Kelling. It seems like a name John Kelling would come up with, and he just says, hello.
But yeah, so the ugly Sonic, though, that was the joke that set the tone that, okay, we're going everywhere with this. Okay, Ugly Sonic was the tone setting.
And the fact that he appears 2 more times in the movie, and it's just
he's a huge pig. He's a very big fixture of our third act, technically.
Okay, Monkey actually points out a really interesting thing. Lumiere was recast in live-action Beauty and the Beast in this universe.
Well, yeah.
I know, but when you think about it, like, Baloo was just himself.
So the idea is that Baloo took the CG surgery, so that's what happened there. So he's not
I think that's a really interesting, like, that adds a whole other layer to it. By the way, I really appreciate that Baloo sounds like Phil Harris still.
Yeah.
And then, of course, you got Bill Murray in the band.
Wait, was he in the band?
Was he not? I could have sworn that was him.
I think it was just another guy. I don't think that was actually Bill Murray.
Yeah, I think that would have been more of a point if it were actually Bill Murray.
I could have sworn it was him. Okay, my bad.
I think the question that would have been a great answer to, hey, why isn't Bill Murray doing the voice? Or no, that's the actual Blue. There's Bill Murray.
Right. I mean, that's what I thought.
That would have been interesting if they addressed if the CGI surgery can also affect their voices or something.
Right, but we did acknowledge, though, with, like as ugly John Kelling says, we know Sonic got recast. That's the thing. So, yeah, by that logic, Lumiere has also been, recast as well. And that's why they're down there looking kind of in the, the autograph hound section.
Yeah, it's kind of weird.
Yeah, and of course, just like, oh god, it's ugly Sonic, just like bragging about, oh, I got an FBI show. Oh yeah, sure, right, you ugly Sonic, yeah.
Ugly Sonic, uglier crimes.
Oh my god.
Yep. All right, so our main plot here's something that's really, again, so simplistic yet it works so well. So the Rescue Rangers, they got one thing they really need to do each episode, and we do it as our main plot for the film. They got to rescue somebody, so they're rescuing Monterey Jack.
I love that they even have a title card.
The case of the missing Monty.
Yeah, so here's something ambitious that we did. We drug abuse with cheese.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. Which is basically,
and it totally checks out with Monty's character.
Yep,
I mean, he was a fiend.
Yep, and loan sharking and deading and kind of
it was basically an opium den.
Yeah.
So that brings us to probably the most interesting aspect of the movie, the bootlegging in its entirety here. So the bootlegging is just such a. It's a
genuine problem in the animation industry, and the fact that they turned it into a plot point is brilliant.
See, I'm so sick
of the and tied it to kind of human trafficking as well.
Yes. See, I'm so sick of the animated bootleg ripoffs. I can't tell you how many times I've seen. Like, I remember back in 2013, particularly, it was like after Frozen comes out, it's like, hey, Ice Princess or the Ice Queen or something. It's
Braver.
Yeah, it's like, oh, come on! Like, all those really hurt my feelings. And, like, the Cars thing, okay, well, they don't have a market on talking cars. But everything else, though, was like, come on! So, it's just, I just love that we finally kind of called it out, like, for the criminal act that really is. And, so, and then just kind of, like, seeing the whole, like, kind of how the whole
and it really makes you think, like, anyone who's, like, enjoying those films on an ironic level, it's like, oh god, those could just be the actual cartoon characters forced to do this against their own free will.
Yeah. So the leg breaker aspect with our loan shark, with again paralleling as said the human trafficking source, which is horrifying. I just love that we took and implied these iconic characters were mutilated, because we have that scene there, like pieces are in baggies that they had to remove so they could be sweeted and bootlegged. Where you have like Jimmy Neutron's hair in a bag just freaked me out. Like poor Flounder. We see Flounder as our main example. We took like kind of an adorable Disney sidekick, and like, oh god, we uglied him up and put him in
the little fish lady.
The little fish lady. Yes. There is a degree of freakazoid humor in this, and I did relish in it. I must
totally.
So we should talk about. Do you guys want to talk about Main Street or Sweet Pete first?
Let's talk about Main Street first, just because there's some good gags.
I love that we're actually. I mean, to correct me if I'm wrong, T, we're actually in Main Street for this, are we?
No.
Well, I mean, they're not going for Main Street at least? Like, are they trying to say it's the Disney Main Street, or like what?
Dragon, the Disney Main Street is... have you been to the... It's...
I mean, I have. Like, to get admit, it looked a little similar to it. Did it not?
I mean, like, vaguely, I guess, but this is like basically
I thought that was
like a back alley crack den.
Well, I
think Dragon's just trying to say it's supposed to be like evocative of the Disneyland Main Street.
Like when they initially walk down the place before we get to the seedy underbelly, I thought the gag was, "Hey, look, we're walking down Main Street, and all these crazy things. She's Muppet fights and all this. Like, no, he's just being crazy. It seems like rather normal. There's like a little cheese shop you might find in Disney or something. Because I thought, just given we have Disney characters, perhaps we're in the actual Main Street. Crazy idea, I know.
Okay, I'm sorry. Like, yeah, it's probably...
Have I ever been to Main Street?
It's just kind of bizarre. Like, it's like this girl just like Muppet fights.
Muppet fights just cracked me up. Oh god!
And then we actually see the results of it in the credits.
Yep. Okay, so Keegan-Michael Key, man, especially him in relation to Muppets, never gets old.
Totally.
Bjornson, I believe it's Bjornson the Cheesemonger. He's essentially the kind of the cheesy opium dealer, and that brings us to one of the other great locations, the Uncanny Valley.
Oh god!
just chef's kiss is truly how we called out the mocap, and kind of those in the in-between mediums kind of it all, of like, we're kind of in CG, but we're not quite there. And like, we don't know where he's looking, and it's, oh god, it's just, and then first Seth Green is like a henchman who I like to think in my own headcanon is like a leftover extra from Beowulf.
I think it was more supposed to be like a jab at the Hobbit movies and anything.
No, it's definitely, I think it's definitely Beowulf.
But you know what else though?
Because they specifically call out the that animation style, and I think he's pretty much like the like the main voice for it.
I wonder though. I don't think production-wise this matches up. But Tiki, if you recall, Seth Rogen was like a Viking or something. I could have sworn he was a Viking. Yes,
it was supposed to. It's Seth Rogen, not Seth Green.
What? Sorry, Seth Rogen. So Seth Rogen, he was in Curb Your Enthusiasm last season.
Yes, he was. Yes, he was.
And if I recall, he was dressed like a Viking.
Very similar outfit. Yes.
So I just think that I love to think that watch Curb Your Enthusiasm. Yeah, let's make Seth Rogen a Viking.
Oh my god!
And later we just caught like Beowulf, or if a warrior of some kind was doing it, it would be kind of our Beowulf. It'd be hilarious. It was.
And did you know that? I love the jab at cats in this thing.
Yeah. And again, later on, the cross section of all the Seth Rogens, with Mantis, Bob. I love that Bob was like, "Oh my god, it's Bob!"
Like I said, and Mantis, it's like I said, they had DreamWorks characters in this movie too.
Now, Pumbaa was the ultimate Lion King gag, though, in terms of like, look at his dead eyes.
I'm kind of disappointed they spoiled that in the trailer, though.
Well, at least
that would have been a really good, like, that is ultimately the payoff to the Seth Rogen character. That's pretty much why he's in the movie, so.
Yeah.
Well, but I think the joke does get extended with the whole Mantis and.
Oh, sure. Yeah. All right, I got to call out some comments here. A lot of people. Right. This looks like it's one of our audience's favorite parts of the movie. Let's see. Okay, yeah, Dragon. Everyone pretty much agrees it's evocative of Main Street, but it's not actually. I literally thought you were asking if it was filmed on the actual Main Street.
No, I mean, I got to admit though. I mean, a part of me maybe wondered that, but I didn't really like. I was just confirming that's intended to be Main Street.
Okay, so Ugly John Kelling says, that is also the name of a cheese. Which is a really stupid, funny line. Swedish chef kiss.
Yep.
Let's see. They name drop the Polar Express eye syndrome specifically, as in that's an in-universe medical condition.
Can you imagine if Secret Chef from Kidding met the cheesemonger?
Oh my god! Oh god. Yeah.
Anyway, go on.
All right. I do wish the non-Disney Rogen characters, each from a different studio, maybe.
Morton.
Yeah, I mean there are. Oh, Sausage Party. That's one that should have popped up. Dragon, as much as you hate Sausage Party, how would you feel if that one popped up?
I mean, initially I would have been, oh no. But it's.
What if he's the shunned one out of the Seth Rogen characters?
Yeah, it would be the shunned one for sure. Just like no. Anyway.
All right, so let's get to the man, the myth, the legend, the person who's causing a shit ton of controversy in this movie, Sweet Pete.
So Sweet Pete, voiced by the great Will Arnett, of course, who, of course, with his work on BoJack, he's a natural choice for kind of the washed-up actor.
Oh God.
So the idea that he aged out of his, of his fame and became like an.
I mean, I hate to say it, but that montage of him, like where he's grown the mustache, it's straight Bobby Driscoll, man.
It is. So here's where I come down. I mean, I don't know how controversial this is, but it's just some people are saying it's in bad taste, and you know what? Maybe they're right, but I think
it is in bad taste, but I still like it.
Yeah, that's what I'm getting at. So I think,
I mean, especially if it's rooted in reality.
Yeah, so I think we're making the best of a bad situation that, well, it happened. And I think I kind of applaud the boldness of the choice of like, well, I mean, again, it's sort of like part of this movie is about like
I mean, in some ways, it kind of immortalizes Bobby Driscoll.
Yeah, it's I like the fact this movie ultimately is about kind of about people kind of being trapped in their role, a little bit of typecasting, and I like that kind of Bobby Driscoll with that whole affair. I mean, it's kind of like the kid who never wanted to grow up, kind of with child stardom kind of personified in the Peter Pan role, the ultimate metaphor. I don't know. It felt very apt, and you absolutely buy how this character would be embittered, and like how you're going to take away his start. I'm like, well, he can't remain a kid forever, and if we're in a world where you're actually shooting these things, that would be a problem for him.
Now, I would like I mean, this is probably a little bit of a stretch, and I feel like the world building overall in this movie is so good that I didn't really mind. But I would like a little bit more of an in-universe explanation on why certain characters age and certain ones don't.
Well, I mean, I think I'm trying to think of the human characters might have been the only ones to age. I'm trying to think.
So with that in mind, were there other human kid characters in this movie?
I mean, I'm trying to...
I know the Burger King kids were in the school randomly.
Yeah, a lot of random tunes were in the school. Like there was even a Transformer in there.
Right. I don't know if anyone can.
I don't want to dwell on it. It's just an observation.
Maybe it could be like a thing where like human. Like, I think it comes to a point where like, especially when it comes to someone like Chip and Dale, like I think they might age to a point, but then they stop. Or like
right. He says there.
Okay, hold on. Monkey actually has a good point. He says, there was one of the Lost Boys, and that did genuinely kind of confuse me. Where it's like there is a Lost Boy who pops up. He's like, "Oh, Peter." Which honestly, I think is a pretty fucking funny guy.
Well, I have
kind of begs the question, like, why did that Lost Boy, stay the same age and Pan grow older?
It's like you've gotten old. It's like, yeah, Death's coming for us all, kid.
I have headcanon, but I don't think you're gonna like it.
Oh God, what?
Well, I mean, if they play with the logic of the Spielberg Hooked movie, it's that. Well, I guess he kissed Wendy and he grew up. So I guess the idea is it was literally kind of like literal puberty of sorts. That's what happened. He broke the cardinal rule of tunes. He settled down. I guess if you're a human tune, you settle down. It doesn't go well for you.
Also, Ugly John Kelling says, "Does this mean they recast Peter for Return to Neverland?"
That is an interesting question.
That is a good question.
Part of me, I would like. I assumed it was.
But
I mean, I assumed he shot 2 movies. But go on.
Depending on how old Pan was. If Peter was like when that movie was made, like I was like technically that was like made in the 50s. That would be 70 years.
Yeah,
So maybe
fine. They probably
Return to Neverland came out in like the early 2000s, so that would be like a good 50 years after the original.
Yeah, they probably recast him.
So maybe it could be inferred that tunes maybe just age very slowly.
That could be.
Or they either do that, or some of them just age gracefully more than others.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Monkey says, "I've seen it noted that what makes Pete a villain is his choices, not his sad past," which is an astute point for sure.
Yeah. I mean, the fact that he's just like there's like no sympathy at all here. He's just like, hey, the world embittered me, and I'm gonna cash in. The fact that this guy he held on to fame any way he could, which is like, okay, I'm gonna do again. It's kind of like sacrificing art for money. Essentially, that's ultimately what this character's thing is. Which again is maybe a commentary on the industry of like when we sacrifice the art for money, we really kind of corrupt our soul.
I mean, there's nothing wrong with really doing what you love for money, but it's what you do with it's like yourself and like what you turn into because of it.
But still, it's kind of like diluting the brand in the very literal sense. We're like, okay, we're just gonna like get rid of the artistry and we're gonna like kind of sand it down just to put something out. Again, it's like if we're rushing forward to put something out versus like putting some actual love into it, it's not going to turn out well, and over time it'll just become like kind of like a greedy machine. Which
ironically this movie could have very well become.
Yeah, exactly. Which is fascinating how that did not happen here.
I was honestly surprised. Like when I guess it's kind of harkening back to my early thoughts on it. I was like when I was like reading like early reviews of it, I was like, it's actually surprisingly getting good reviews.
Yeah.
So I was actually kind of surprised by it.
Yeah. So again, we. So I like how. In general, I like how we kind of mocked Hollywood, the Hollywood mentality, where we had like all those posters like walking down Hollywood.
all the billboards and everything.
I love all the animated stars on the walkway. You had like Chun-Li, and you had like all sorts of like animated names.
Squidward as a star.
Yeah. Oh yeah. As it should be.
But what's kind of it's like I think my favorite billboard gag, other than like the Batman versus E.T.
It was Mr. Doubtfire, wasn't it?
No, it was actually Lego Miserable.
Remember, like Fast and Furious babies.
Like, for some reason, Lego Miserable just was like my favorite billboard gag.
Just the fact that we saw Batman versus E.T. Just E.T. forgive Bat. Fine. Just
my favorite billboard gag was Senator Butthead.
Oh yeah, that was another surprising cameo in a way.
Yes.
I was like, wait, Butthead?
I just love, because my favorite thing with the Senator Butthead thing is that I just love like the perceived like character growth of Butthead from a teenager to like, you know, he was like just a shit disturber of a teenager, and now he's turned his life around, man.
Oh my God, Senator! Either that or he didn't improve, and we're all doomed.
True, fair.
Yeah. So speaking of the Batman gag, I do want to point out again. So J.K. Simmons as Captain Putty, who essentially is kind of initially is sold to us as like a Gumby Commissioner Gordon, which I think is hilarious. But then he turns into, again, like, we learned that he's actually the antithesis of Jim Gordon. He's on the take. He's Sweet Pea's. He's on Sweet Pea's take. Yeah. Sweet Pete's take.
Oh boy.
All right. So what else?
I like all of like the practicality and like the almost realism of the police work involved too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like
it's not like this massive sting operation. It's like no, it's like they just track his Fitbit.
Yep.
And
doing to get the Fitbit, but that's about it.
Yeah. And I was like, oh yeah, it's big enough. Like I love the detective Steckler.
Yeah, I think it's Steckler. Yeah, she's a stickler.
Yes,
so she was a surprising standout to me, where it's like I feel like in most movies she'd just be kind of like the boring human character to kind of ground the audience, but
yeah, it looks
she was fun. Like she had some layers to her character. I liked that they low key threw some shade on like older celebrities flirting with fans. Like that was a place that I did not think that they would go.
I think I loved her backstory and when Peppa Pig went missing, they raided Nicktoons and one of them the Paw Patrol mauled people.
Right.
It's just like
I kind of wish it was the more traditional Nicktoons. If I'm being frank, I think I would have been like, why it has to be like. Nick
No, I honestly think the Nick Jr. gag works better, just because those characters, you like the Nicktoons, like you would expect some of those are violent fuckers, like
yeah.
But the Nick Jr. characters, I mean, it's more of a shock. Like horrible things happened with the Nick Jr. characters.
It's like apparently the Paw Patrol rendered one of the other
Don't make Little Bear mad.
He can't have children now.
It's like, yeah, this movie has some pretty dark humor in it.
Yeah. It's like it was nice that she was a fangirl. That was really nice, and also her big fight with Captain Putty. The whole T-1000 thing was hysterical.
I like when Captain Putty makes that villain turn. He just instantly turns into one of my favorite characters in the movie for me.
I mean, I was already loving him, but then he's just a completely irredeemable corrupt cop. Where he's like,
yeah, it's like they just go so over the top with it.
Yeah, I just love this complete opposite of like, hey, J.K. Simmons, he was like kind of like a Commissioner Gordon, just kind of honest cop type, as we've seen before. But like, no, he's so bent. But he's having such a good time with it though. It's the whole like, oh, my wife needed an operation. No, I'm just kidding. I like money.
And they point out it was kind of like a red herring almost. They're like, well, I mean, we probably even did expect it coming once they name dropped him as like a potential villain, but it's like even then it's like, and even Chip's like, it's so cliche.
Uh-huh.
But like it's kind of funny that the T2 thing comes directly after a Jurassic Park reference.
Yes. I think that's probably intentional, because Jurassic Park and T2 are like the big like practical effects movies of the 90s.
Yeah, I mean, I was just like they're just like all in all, this movie is almost like both like a playful jab and kind of celebration of Hollywood in a way.
Oh, for sure.
So, can we talk about the final boss?
Well, I mean, I thought you want to talk about like the whole the zipper and gadget thing, but we can.
Well, yeah, we could address that. I honestly thought it was a little bit weird, but it doesn't like ruin the movie for me or anything.
I mean, I don't. Jacob, you've seen a little bit of Rescue Rangers, haven't you?
Yeah.
Did they ever like tease up to those two like had like a crush or something on each other? Did they like each other in the show?
As far as I know, as far as I can remember, there was never really anything between Gadget and Zipper.
I gotta be honest, Zipper is a character that I forget is even on the show.
It was always like either Chip and Dale like competing for her affections.
Really?
Yeah, that's what I remember. Yeah.
So I don't think there's ever anything with Zipper. I mean, either there's like he was portrayed as being young, or he just wasn't interested in that kind of stuff. I don't remember.
I mean, he was just kind of like a silent pantomime comic relief character, from what I remember.
Yeah, I kind of like that she ended up with Zipper. I'm gonna be.
He did do a lot of buzzing though, which Corey Burton did, of course.
It's like unexpected.
But yeah, so which is nice that they got both Tress and Corey back for this as well.
Okay, now something to mention though.
She has not missed a beat. She sounds exactly like she did in the show.
Oh, she's doing it now with Dot.
Yeah.
It's like breathing for her. So the thing I want to highlight though with Zipper though, I think it's so hysterical. I think it plays a little better than like something we've done recently, where we kind of cast these great black actors as like as Disney characters, like we've had with Don Cheadle as the real person. I love we have Dennis Haysbert as
Don Cheadle was the real voice of Donald Duck in DuckTales at one point.
Yeah,
remember that?
Yeah, that's what he's referring to.
Oh yeah, I didn't hear the Donald part. Sorry.
Yeah. Point being, so obviously Dennis Haysbert, who killed it on Lucifer a couple during the last season. By the way, he played the big man. He played God. He was awesome as that. But no, seriously though, Dennis Haysbert, he was just. I just love the idea, like, oh, sure, being a stay-at-home dad. It's like just the fact that we gave the tiniest character like this big booming voice, literally a voice of God, depending on who we ask.
He's also funnily enough, he's also known for his insurance commercials.
I know, that's the thing, which is funny given the insurance context of the whole design. The reunion was nice with them, and the fact that they all basically Dale patched things up, which is nice.
Honey, someone's standing dramatically in the driveway. And it is nice that it's kind of implied that at least, even though things didn't work out with Chip, he did maintain somewhat good terms with.
I got that implication. I feel like Dale's the one that kind of like isolated himself from everyone.
You mean Chip?
I'm sorry. God, I don't know why that's still hard. Anyways.
But yeah, Chip was the one that isolated himself. Like Dale, at least seemed, even though he kind of did can the show almost, at least it doesn't seem like they like held it against him.
Hey, something we should talk about with that too. I love the deep cut kind of reference to it. They're parodying the whole Darkwing Duck thing with the 00 Dale. The whole I think it was like 00 Duck or something. That originally Darkwing Duck started off as a spy show before it became Darkwing Duck. So that's kind of what they're referencing with that. Really clever.
And I looked into it. There also was an actual episode in there called 00 Chipmunks. So there's also that.
Oh.
So I don't think that's like a direct reference to it or anything, but I do know that there is that. And the reason they didn't do the whole 00 thing is because that's basically a trademark. So that's why they would pulp superheroes instead of a spy thing.
Right. Well, again, I like to think, given that we end on Darkwing, I like to think perhaps that was like them kind of tipping their hat that, the whole Dale, the 00 Dale thing kind of in reference to that, perhaps. I don't know.
the whole climax was really interesting, believe it or not.
Yeah, so again, let's talk about that boss. Dragon, did you have, what was your reaction to seeing fucking Woody's leg?
I was like, at first I'm saying, okay, well, generic Transformer leg, and then, oh my god!
Exactly, yeah. I mean, let's break this down, guys. It's like, so it's a Transformer leg, a Woody leg, Peter Pan's body, a Wreck-It Ralph arm. I forget what the other arm is.
I thought it was like a Nintendo thing, because it's shooting like the little bullets from the... Is that right, or is that like a Mega Man thing, or like what?
It pretty much was like supposed to be evocative of the Bullet Bills almost. It almost looked like the Bullet Bills with the face and mouth of the moon from Majora's Mask.
Okay. And then you've got fucking Marie from the Aristocats as the face. Like,
I thought that was supposed to be just Fat Cat.
No, it was Marie. You can tell by the bow.
Oh, right. I guess so.
Was there a bow? Because I could have sworn they were going for Fat Cat. I don't know. Okay.
I could be wrong.
Well, wait. What's this cat's name again? The one you're talking about, Dickie?
Marie from Aristocats.
I don't think it's Marie from Aristocats, man. I don't know.
I mean, essentially, it's a giant chimera of different.
What? I know it's not her. You know how I know? Because the cat speaks with Jim Cummings' voice, so it is Fat Cat.
But they have the bow, so maybe just the bow is Marie.
Are you sure there's a bow there?
I'm pretty damn sure there's a bow.
Jacob, are you looking at it right now?
I'm trying to find it.
Okay, because I don't. Because I know we hear Jim Cummings' voice coming from that thing. And
no, it's obviously a Jim Cummings voice for sure. But I mean, with the Jim Cummings voice, it's like an amalgamation of all these different characters. By the way, I love the random. I'm gonna wreck it.
Yep.
I want to wreck stuff.
Yeah, so I love the whole chase through like the bootleg sets. By the way, that's really fun. Like we have like
also I love how much like Roger Rabbit, we have a moment where all the characters who are in danger like come out, and it's like all the bootleg characters. That was like a nice Roger Rabbit homage.
Yeah. Like I love, we have like all these kind of great spots during the chase as well. We have like Poonj, Pooj, the fat honey bear, and like Aladdin with Pete, like legitimate Pete from. Kind of fun. We have an action sequence with two kind of boss bad, kind of like two kind
boss bad guys named Pete.
Yeah, and that's where you get your Jurassic Park reference. We have like the Simpsons or like some parody of I Carumba. Tracy Ullman-esque.
Yeah.
I wish they would have gone a little bit harder with the Tracy Ullman thing because it's such a low hanging fruit. But
yeah, I wonder if it was like a legal thing. I wonder if like they can't I know they like with the giant assortment they have the Simpsons. Is the Tracy Ullman stuff there, or is it just like the Simpsons onward?
Dragon, I'm looking at it on Disney Plus right now. There's definitely a bow. There's definitely a Marie bow.
All right, fine. You get a Marie bow. They amalgam two cats for some reason, but there you go.
I think it basically is supposed to be like Fat Cat crossed with Marie.
Yeah, I think it's like a fusion of the two. Yeah.
Okay.
Which makes sense considering the bootleg thing.
Okay.
Yeah, because looking at it now, I think it is like it's kind of more Fat Cat's face and then the Marie bow on top. Yeah.
All right.
It's essentially like a chimera of different cartoon parts.
Yeah.
And it's freaking insane. Like, how are they? That was like, you can tell it's like almost where all the special effects money went.
Oh yeah.
I mean, combining all those different kind of styles into like just one character was like, oh my god.
All right.
And it's hilarious and kind of scary at the same time. And we never see him again after he's arrested. So, who knows?
Right.
So I love that there's a payoff for the birds.
Yep. It's like when they get hit in the head and
it's my job, honey.
Like don't ruffle the feathers over this. It's like they're literally on call when they need to circle around somebody's head.
We do kind of like a Die Hard ending where he breaks free after he's arrested, and then he takes the shot.
Oh god.
So the death fake out, I think the flashback, as Tiki was alluding to it towards the beginning of the podcast, I think that really did save that scene, because I was worried, like, okay, we already kind of did this scene, and this is the most predictable way it could go, where it's like, okay, like, unless you're Deadpool 2, I don't think you're going to get away with, like, we shot him and he survived, like, because the thing deflected. But we legitimized it with the Pog, and again, we kind of added, like, that layer in the past to, okay, there was, like, hesitancy on Chip's end as well. That was interesting.
It's like it basically recontextualized, like it was basically showing that Chip needed Dale more than Dale needed him at that time.
I think let's talk about the speaking of which, let's talk about that revelation of the flashback, which I thought was genuinely like pretty emotional for me. Because in the initial flashback, they frame it as kind of Chip being like the more confident of the two and like sort of like, taking Dale under his wings when, like you guys said, in reality, it was really him that needed Dale. And that to me, I don't know, that really got to me, man. That really, I felt pretty emotional over that. Like, it really is a good kind of testament to friendships, I think.
I do kind of rescind with just in part of that. I don't think it's necessarily like Chip needed Dale more. I think it's like they found each other and they need each other more.
Yeah,
than, like,
totally.
I think it's more of that than like he needs him more. But Dale and Chip does admit like he probably pushed it too far, basically just probably to maintain that friendship. And when he was like, when Dale thought about moving on, when he didn't really want to, and it just like just kind of broke something with him. I mean, it's oddly realistic for that kind of thing.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, so when we finally rescue Monty, I do love that we have like Bigfoot from a Goofy movie in a Fred Flintstone outfit. I mean, it's obviously he's breaking all the ridiculous kind of bootlegs that are walking out of there. I mean, obviously Monty dressed as Dumbo, and they have the troll from the Troll in Central Park, kind of like walking out there, and Pegasus Bambi. It's ridiculous.
Tinkerbell Tiana.
Oh god, I didn't even catch that.
It looked like Frog Tiana with wings.
Oh, speaking of that, by the way, I love that. I don't think this is technically what they were going for, but the way it always read to me, remember when they're running through the convention, you have like the polar bear henchman who's like the main henchman of Sweet Pete.
It's definitely the Coca-Cola bear.
Right?
It's definitely the Coca-Cola bear.
Gotta be.
Yeah.
I don't know. It might be a reference to him, but I don't think it's meant to be him specifically.
Oh, that's the thing. I think legally they can't say that it's a Coca-Cola bear, but it's totally the Coca-Cola bear, let's be honest.
It definitely at least is alluding to the Coca-Cola bear.
Yeah, it's trying to lead people there. Like, we don't see him drinking the Coca-Cola, but if he were thirsty, I think we'd see it.
Just really quick with some of the cameos with the adult animation side of things, we have Pickle Rick in the convention.
Wait, really? Pickle Rick?
Yes.
As a pickle or with the little
Yes,
robot?
as a pickle, yes.
It was if someone dressed in a Pickle Rick
Someone dressed as Pickle Rick, yeah.
It's like, and not to mention like some of like the when Chip and Dale were being scanned, like all the different like styles they were
right.
rendering.
One of them is Rick and Morty, yeah. And then of course Randy Marsh, which is just fucking surreal. I never thought I'd see the day a South Park character would show up in a Disney thing. And then also Coach Steve from Big Mouth for some reason. Which probably the reason is because John Mulaney, I guess, but still, it's odd.
Yep, they even credited Netflix in this. So like, yep, he was in there.
All
it's
right.
like who would have thought that of all things that they would be brought into Chip and Dale?
Dude, just Big Mouth needs to die. All right, like that's coming from someone who like kind of enjoyed the first couple seasons of Big Mouth. Anyways,
it's like I actually like looked up some of the different styles that Chip and Dale were rendered into, but like it's like I think there's like a couple like anime Japanese style. One of them was obviously Rick and Morty style, old timey style, and The Simpsons too.
By the way, did you guys hear about the Rick and Morty anime? Apparently, is a thing.
Yeah, it's happening. Yeah.
That is kind of mind blowing to me.
Well, they did there was like some sort of short clip or something on Adult Swim with it. I forget if they were involved in that or not, but they experimented in the anime style.
Yeah, and they're doing like a limited series of it on Adult Swim, I think.
Yeah. Let's see. Ugly John Kelling says, South Park? What is that? Do I own that? Not yet, sir. All right.
Yeah, it's kind of. It would have been even more secure if they would have gotten him to speak. Like they actually got like, who does it? Is it Matt Stone or Trey Parker that does it?
It's Trey Parker that does most of the voices.
Well,
Trey Parker definitely does Randy.
It's like, well, it would have been surreal if they actually got Trey Parker for this.
It would have. And you know me, the best thing about probably any Illuminations movie for me, period, is Trey Parker is Dragon.
Balthazar Brat.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
That's a tongue twister. God damn. I love that villain so much. I would watch a full fucking show of that guy.
Remind me, did you watch the third this film, or did you just you watched it for that villain, right?
I watched it for the villain. Yeah, I didn't give two shits about anything else that was happening.
Oh yeah, you don't have to be aggressive. Okay, sure, fine.
It'd be kind of interesting if they did get him for this, but I wonder why they didn't, or they just didn't want to, or it just didn't.
I honestly think it kind of goes with my philosophy of the cameos, where it's like there really wasn't a reason for him to speak. So and that's why I think the cameos are very tastefully done. It's like they draw attention, and they have if a cameo is a plot point or a reoccurring gag, then they'll have them speak. If not, then it's just a nice little visual Easter egg.
As the Monkey points out, didn't that Trey Parker film essentially have the same origin story as Sweet Pete? Actually, kind of, yeah.
A little bit, yeah. Yeah, I could see that.
It's slightly different, but it's more like a child star in television, refusing to acknowledge that he's grown up. But yeah, kind of.
Yeah, it's the same kind of idea. Anyways. All right, guys, I feel like we're kind of running a little long in the tooth with this and just kind of pointing out references. So is there anything else we need to...
I do like the final gag in the movie with the, outside of the Darkwing Duck thing, obviously, but besides
the Darkwing Duck thing is a perfect post-credits.
It is.
And of course, they got Jim Cummings back for it, of course.
Yeah.
We want Darkwing!
And I feel like that's very meta because Darkwing is the reboot that everybody wants.
And it's actually coming.
Yeah.
Wait, is it officially coming?
I mean, yeah, it's been in development for over a year now.
Well, see, that doesn't fill me. Okay, so it's been okay in the work.
I did not know it was officially confirmed.
That's Seth Rogen's working on it.
Oh,
really?
Yeah. How did I not know about that?
To be fair, he does have his hands in a lot of stuff right now, which would explain why he's in the Disney camp right now. Would explain, he's working on Darkman. That's why he's around.
It's Seth Rogen and Evan Goldberg are working on it. I think the original creators involved in some creative capacity.
Okay. All right, fair enough.
All right, so
I really want that Disney Afternoon Fight Fest to be a real thing.
So I guess I think the last joke of the movie is pretty clever too. Like how we call out the theme song remix thing they do on all these reboots. Where it's like the rebooted version of the theme song with a pop star.
It's like when everyone just wants to hear the original.
Yep.
They have Post Malone sing the song.
Oh my god! Of course.
And also, it's a bit of a pop star reference with Andy Samberg, which a little bit of that in there too.
Dragon, you need to see Popstar, my bro. Seriously.
Never stopping.
I can't imagine you not liking it with your appreciation of Sandberg. All right, anyways. I think that's it, guys.
I think we ran the gambit here. I think we all generally like this movie.
Yeah, I think people get the idea. We're liking the movie, yeah.
I would say this is probably in my top 3 of the year so far. I would put it that high.
It was rather impressive.
As I even said in the beginning, a word to describe this movie is surprising. I don't think when people first heard about this, nobody almost had high hopes for this at all.
Totally.
They were trashing it almost, and now everyone's here. It's it's not as bad as we thought. It's actually quite good.
And there's some people like us that are like, this is genuinely great, and this is exactly what I want. But I feel like this movie, just as a final thought for me, I am curious to see how this movie would play for someone who's not an animation nerd, because I do genuinely think that it has a good, compelling story. All the characters are funny, good mystery and all that. I like the reveal in the third act with Chip and Dale's dynamic. But obviously the member berries and the animation history and all that, and the meta gags, that's obviously a part of this movie. So that's the one hang up I have where it's it's not the most accessible movie, but god damn it, it's made specifically for people like me. So I've got to embrace it.
And there were some very deep cuts. I even saw a reference to Doug.
Right.
All right. They have some very deep cuts in this movie.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
If I remember correctly, one of the even styles was Ren and Stimpy.
Oh yeah, for sure. I remember that. Yeah.
might be my favorite movie starring Sonic. This is absolutely the best movie starring Sonic. Absolutely, no question. This is better than the 2 Sonic movies. I haven't even seen Sonic 2, but I can guarantee you it's better. But anyways. Okay, so yeah, anyone else have anything that they want to throw in before we get out of here?
We want Darkwing. We want Darkwing.
That we do, yes.
Okay, so just to go down the line, big thanks to Fui. Theme Park Priest briefly popped in, but he didn't really stick around. That's okay. He's a busy man. Ugly John Kelling and Miscellaneous for popping in. You guys are all awesome. See y'all later. We've got our Great Disney Ranking Podcast Part 4 coming up soon, I believe. I don't want to quote a day on that, or else Dragon will get upset. But
you might. I don't know if Part 4 is necessarily right, because as they're experiencing it, it's more like, what is it?
Is it? Are we on part 3? Oh, you're right. It's Part 3, not Part 4. I'm sorry.
But, yeah.
All right. Anyways, my bad. Also, Ugly John Kelling says, shout out to the out of focus Gucci ad showing Dobby the house elf, which I totally missed.
Like there's people putting, there's like a gag or billboard gag like almost in every behind the scenes frame. It's like you probably have to rewatch this movie a couple times to like catch everything.
All right. Theme Park Priest says he's been here most of the time. Well, that's cool, Theme Park Priest. I appreciate it. Okay. So yeah, look for that. I know that most people here probably aren't Survivor fans, but me, Casey, and Laser Dude will be doing our Survivor Storytellers penultimate episode tomorrow. That will be exciting. Dragon, anything else we should hype up?
Let me.
Is it Kenobi premiering this week?
Well, yes. Well, Kenobi premieres this Friday. This Friday. So we
27th.
Yes, my birthday. Yes. So beyond that, we're probably going to be covering. I don't want to say it, but let's just say ideally Kenobi covered Sunday. But we also have the debate coming.
Indeed. So yeah, lots of fun stuff. A multiverse debate.
Yes.
All right.
Multiversal, very crossover, if you like this.
All right. Well, that'll do it for us this week as we holster our remotes till the next installment calls for the draw. Mano y mano. Just plus. And us. It's almost like my character from the original series and my character in real life are the exact same.